Welcome back to the Cruise Ship Safety and Security channel. I'm Shelby, your Chief Officer Safety. In the last module, we explored how the CVSSA came to life, a law born from tragedy, testimony, and change. Today, we're diving into a vital question. Who does the CVSSA apply to? Because knowing who the law applies to is the first step toward compliance. Get this wrong, and your vessel could find itself facing U.S. penalties before it even drops anchor. Let's start right at the source, Title 46 of the United States Code, Section 3507. It says the Act applies to passenger vessels authorized to carry at least 250 passengers, with sleeping accommodations for all passengers, that embark or disembark in a U.S. port, and that are not engaged in a coastwise voyage. If your vessel ticks all those boxes, congratulations, you're sailing under the CVSSA umbrella. Passenger vessel isn't just any boat with people on board. Under U.S. law, it means a commercial ship carrying passengers for hire, so cruise ships, ocean liners, and some large expedition vessels. Think of it like this. If your passengers sleep on board, buy tickets, and you sail to or from the U.S., you're under CVSSA. Here's where people get confused. CVSSA doesn't just apply to ships registered in the U.S. It applies to any ship that embarks or disembarks passengers in a U.S. port. That means a Bahamas-flagged ship sailing Miami, Nassau, Miami falls under CVSSA, but a ship that sails entirely in Europe or Asia does not. It's all about the connection to U.S. jurisdiction. If a single passenger sets foot on or off in an American port, U.S. law applies to your voyage. That's why you'll see U.S. Coast Guard inspectors visiting ships flying flags of Panama, Malta, the Bahamas, or Liberia, because their voyages include U.S. embarkation points. Inspectors walk past ceiling-mounted dome cameras and monitoring wall, inspecting ship security systems. Tasteful fade-ins of Panama, Malta, Bahamas, Liberia flags as a composited visual overlay. No dialogue. The number 250 isn't random. Congress chose it because that's where ships stop being small passenger vessels and start becoming floating cities. Once you reach that size, the risk profile skyrockets. More cabins, more decks, more alcohol service, more security blind spots. So, smaller expedition or river cruise ships with 100 guests, usually exempt. But anything in the mainstream cruise market, from Carnival to Royal Caribbean, absolutely falls inside the law. Another key phrase, with sleeping accommodations for all passengers. This ensures the law targets ocean-going voyages, not day-trip ferries. So if your ship returns to port every night, like many local ferries do, you're likely outside CVSSA scope. But if passengers sleep on board, even for a single night, that voyage qualifies. That's why features like peepholes, latches, and keycard logs are part of the design standards. They protect guests in their sleeping quarters. Now for the trickiest bit, not engaged in a coastwise voyage. Originally, CVSSA excluded ships that only sailed between U.S. ports under a coastwise endorsement, basically domestic ferries and harbor tours. Those are already covered by other U.S. safety rules, like the Passenger Vessel Safety Act and 46 CFR Subchapter T. But if your ship visits any foreign port or carries passengers to and from a U.S. port as part of an international voyage, you're not coastwise. And CVSSA applies. So a Seattle, Vancouver, Seattle cruise? That counts. A Boston, New York coastal ferry? That doesn't. Most cruise ships are foreign flagged. They may be registered in Panama, Malta, or the Bahamas. But when they enter a U.S. port, they accept U.S. jurisdiction for CVSSA purposes. This concept is called port state control. It gives the U.S. Coast Guard authority to inspect foreign ships visiting its ports for compliance with U.S. laws that protect passengers and the environment. So yes, even the world's largest ships, flying foreign flags, must pass U.S. security compliance checks before passengers can board. No exceptions. Now, there are always gray zones. Let's explore a few real-world scenarios. Case 1, charter yacht in the Caribbean. A 150-foot charter yacht carries 20 guests, U.S. citizens, sailing from St. Thomas to St. Bart's. Even though St. Thomas is a U.S. territory, the vessel carries far fewer than 250 passengers, so CVSSA doesn't apply. Case 2, Mega cruise from Miami to Cozumel. 5,000 passengers. Overnight cabins. Embarks and disembarks in Miami. CVSSA applies fully. Expect inspection, training verification, CCTV compliance, and quarterly crime reporting. Case 3. Transatlantic repositioning voyage. A ship sails Barcelona, New York, Bermuda. Once it disembarks passengers in New York, it triggers CVSSA jurisdiction, even if the voyage began in Europe. The takeaway? It's where the passengers get on or off in the US that matters. Not the flag, not the nationality, not even the route in between. Enforcement belongs primarily to the US Coast Guard, with coordination from the FBI for criminal matters and the Department of Transportation for data transparency. USCG inspectors carry out foreign passenger vessel exams, FPVEs, to verify CVSSA compliance, checking rail heights, door security, CCTV, and crew training records. They don't just inspect paperwork, they test systems, review logs, and can detain or deny entry if serious deficiencies are found. It's port state control in action. No compliance, no US port. CVSSA doesn't operate in a vacuum. It overlaps with several other frameworks. SOLAS, Safety of Life at Sea, for fire safety and life-saving appliances. ISM Code for Safety Management Systems. STCW for crew training standards. Maritime Labor Convention, MLC 2006, for crew welfare. CVSSA builds on all of these, focusing specifically on security, crime reporting, and passenger rights within U.S. jurisdiction. Understanding scope isn't just about legal boxes. It's about knowing your responsibilities before you sail. If your voyage touches the U.S., you must train your crew to handle evidence and protect victims, maintain compliant design features, keep transparent crime logs, and open your records to U.S. inspectors when requested. Failing to comply doesn't just risk fines, it damages trust, reputation, and public confidence. Passengers choose cruise lines that demonstrate safety leadership, not secrecy. Let's summarize what we've covered today. 1. CVSSA applies to passenger vessels carrying 250 or more passengers with overnight accommodations. 2. It covers any ship that embarks or disembarks passengers in a U.S. port, regardless of flag. 3. It excludes purely coastwise voyages, short domestic trips already governed by other U.S. laws. 4. Foreign flagged ships are still subject to inspection through port state control. 5. The law sits alongside international conventions, focusing on passenger security and crime reporting. 6. Compliance is verified by the U.S. Coast Guard through regular inspections. If you operate a cruise line, work in maritime security, or just love the sea, understanding where CVSSA applies is the first step in keeping everyone safe. In our next module, we'll look at how CVSSA physically changed ship design, the doors, the rails, the cameras, and the cutting-edge tech that keeps you safe today. So, if you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss Module 4, Safety by Design. And if you work at sea, share this video with your colleagues. Because every seafarer who understands these laws strengthens safety for us all. I'm Chief Officer Safety Shelby, reminding you that compliance isn't paperwork, it's protection. Stay sharp, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next module.